Hey everybody, Aaron Bishop here with another Bishop's Blurb. We're still in the middle of the context series with the Bishop's Blurb because, if you haven't figured it out, one of my pet peeves is the tendency many people take to engage in what I call soundbite theology. If you don't know what that is, I've got several videos that I've done already on soundbite theology. In short, it's when a person takes a snippet of a passage and uses that passage out of context to try to make a point that the passage was never intended to make. And because soundbite theology is such a common issue, I am currently going through some of the most commonly misquoted, misunderstood, and misused passages of the Bible. Now, we've already looked at how the immediate context of a passage, the text that surrounds the passage, can help to determine the meaning of the passage. We've looked at how when an author or a character quotes from previously in the Bible, how they're importing the context of the passage that they're quoting to import it into what they're saying to help to give meaning to their current statement. We've looked at how the historical context of a verse can shift our understanding of what a verse means. And we've explored how the entire corpus of an author's works can help us to better understand or interpret a specific author. Now, one such misunderstood passage is found in Revelation 4, in the letter that was written to the last of the 7 churches of Asia, Laodicea. In this letter, we read a verse that has become synonymous with feeling passion for God and His kingdom. Revelation 3:15-16. I know your works. You are neither hot nor cold. Would that you were either hot or cold. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. Now, in the modern West, we use idiomatic terms of hot and cold to describe a person's state of passion, or alternatively, their lack of passion. And so when we read this verse, we often import this idea into what it is that Jesus is saying, that He wants us to be passionate about the relationship with Him. There's nothing worse than a lukewarm Christian, I've heard preached on many occasions. So be holy, have faith, rededicate yourself, find your passion again. Stop playing around in the middle, you lazy Christians. Now, this is a message that will preach until you start talking about the cold. If hot means on fire for God and passionate and holy, then what does it mean to be cold? Does it mean that Jesus would rather we just don't care about Him at all, that we have zero passion for Him or His ways? It just doesn't hold up. I tried to understand this verse in this way growing up as I heard sermon after sermon about being passionate for God, and this was the proof text or the soundbite that was trotted out to make this case. It wasn't until I started learning about the historical context, or even more specifically, the geographical context of the church at Laodicea, that this statement began to make sense. You see, Laodicea was situated between 2 cities. To the north was the city of Hierapolis. It's a city that's well known for its hot springs that were seen as having healing properties. People would flock to the city and soak in these hot springs to bring relief to joints and aches and pains and other sorts of illnesses. To the south was the city of Colossae. This is a city that featured a cold spring that was praised for its flavor and its ability to refresh. And it was Colossae that Laodicea actually received their water from after a 6-mile trek through a Roman aqueduct. The only other water source for the city was a river that was widely used as part of their textile industry. And there were some small springs, but not enough to support the entire city. So by the time that the water reached Laodicea, it was tepid, it was dirty, it was undrinkable. The hot water to the north, well, it was useful. It was bringing comfort and relief to people. People were being healed by the water to the north. The water to the south, it was bringing refreshing and invigoration. People were being sustained by the water to the south. But the water for Laodicea, well, it was lukewarm and it was gross. It wasn't fit for drinking in comparison to these other 2 cities that were so close by. When we finally discover this geographical context, the statement of hot and cold, it begins to make more sense. Rather than being passionate for the kingdom of God, the statement is speaking more about being useful for the kingdom of God. Heal and refresh like the water in these cities that surround you, but the water in Laodicea, the water in the church of Laodicea is lukewarm. It's not useful. It's not tasty. It's tepid. It's gross. It's been traveling for miles in an open aqueduct. There's all sorts of dirt and dust and everything else in it. It's only fit for being spewed out of a person's mouth. Rather than seeing this as being passionate, this is about being useful, about working in the ways of the kingdom. And this is what Jesus is getting onto the church of Laodicea for. They think they're rich, they think they're well clothed, they think they're taken care of, but they're not. They're misunderstanding the situation around them. Because they're so prideful in their own place of comfort and richness, they are not being useful to the world around them. And so Jesus is going to spew them out of his mouth, because they've taken their religion, they've isolated themselves from the world, and they say, we need nothing, nothing at all. And they give nothing in return because of that. Instead, be useful for the kingdom of God. Heal, refresh, bring comfort, bring life. Be useful for the kingdom of God. Otherwise, you're no better than that lukewarm water that's good for nothing and of no use to anyone. As I'm going through this series on context, I have a question for you. Do you have a passage that you hear others constantly taking out of context that you would like me to cover? If so, just drop a reference to the passage or verse in the comments below, and I'll look into making a video for you. And while you're at it, comment, like, share this video. You know how the internet works. If you appreciate the work that I put into this channel and its content, then spread the love and let me know about it.